Welcome to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast, where we dive deep and answer the ultimate question: how did you hack into tech sales? Each week, we bring you inspiring stories, proven strategies, and insider tips from top performers who've cracked the code to break into tech sales and thrive. Whether you're just starting out, making a career pivot, or ready to level up, this is your go-to space for actionable advice and real-world success stories. Let's crack the code together, because hacking into tech sales isn't just a dream, it's your next move. Now with your host, the founder of Tech Sales Funnels and the tech sales hacker himself, Dayvisson DaSilva.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech Sales Funnel podcast. I'm the tech sales hacker here today, Dayvisson DaSilva. I'm super excited to bring you in. Today, the guest, a good friend of mine from Microsoft, Robert, a mentor, an inspiration. The guy has an amazing background. I'm going to let him speak for himself, but he has done some amazing things from the military to nonprofits to an athlete, professional athlete. So he has an amazing story, inspirational, and I was looking forward to this interview today. So I'm going to bring him to stage and introduce him. Hey, Robert,
Hey,
welcome, man.
hey, how you doing, Dayvisson?
Good to see you, man. I see you smile, and it makes me smile.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, man. Yeah,
Sometimes you look intimidated, because you're a
yeah,
fighter, but then
I got to lighten
soften
up
up.
a little bit. No,
No, welcome. I was just telling everyone that I met you at Microsoft. You're like an inspiration, a mentor, and I needed to bring you on this podcast. I know it's going to inspire a lot of people, and I'm super excited to hear your story. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Then we're going to dive into the question. How did you hack into tech sales?
yeah, no, I appreciate you, Davidson. And you're an inspiration yourself. So I appreciate everything you're doing, pouring into other people, helping people like myself land jobs and tech sales and as a software sales and also here at Microsoft. So man, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I mean, a pleasure to be here again, and it's also a pleasure to work with you. So yeah, so a little bit about me. My name is Robert Washington, as you all can see. I'm a business application specialist here at Microsoft. I've been at Microsoft for about 3.5 years. So I'll share a little bit about my background, just to kind of lay some context of who I am as a person. So I was born in poverty, raised in probably one of the most dangerous cities in America. I joined the U.S. Navy just days after 9/11 because of 9/11. And honestly, I just wanted to escape poverty. I spent about 10 years in the U.S. Navy. Towards the tail end of my career, I fell in love with mixed martial arts. I was stationed in Guam. I took fights all over Southeast Asia, fought in crazy amount of times in Southeast Asia. Then I decided I needed to get a real job. I decided to leave the military and go and
Mm.
work full time while competing full time while going to graduate school. So
Whoa.
I kind of found my way in corporate America while competing as a professional mixed martial artist and going to graduate school. One of my companies was bought out. I decided to take a leap of faith and start my own leadership motivational speaking business, which eventually led me to Gartner. I spent about 2 years at Gartner, and then I made my way here at Microsoft, and I've been here for about 3.5 years. So that's a little bit about my journey. As you can see throughout the
Wow.
story, I have a very unorthodox kind of viewpoint and also, I guess, approach journey to say to land in tech sales. So I'm not your traditional tech salesperson who went to school to sell or actually studied computer science. I kind of landed here, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about some of the tips and tricks that I can share with other people to help them kind of find their path in tech sales if that's what they want to do. So that's just a little
Wow.
bit about
Amazing. That's awesome. I just saw here was like about 3 minutes. You just gave the script of your next book
my.
or first book. Your entire life is a book, man. Like
uh,
all the things you can tell about it. even if it's just for your grandkids, you should definitely write. Amazing. We could dive into so many angles here. Um, Not traditional way. I think there's some people these days go to college for
Mhm.
sales, but it's not even tech sales sometimes. And I don't understand because this is a huge industry. You just landed, just like me. I had no idea that it existed, tech sales 8 years ago, and I did sell my life, and I didn't knew about tech sales. Now, a lot of people listening here today, they're probably in the same situation, or they might be thinking, tech sales is not for me, whatever. Tell us a little bit more about how did you go from I'm having LinkedIn open here,
Mhm.
U.S. Navy, 9 years. You said 10 years, yeah, about 10 years, yeah. And different, you know, speaking all the way to being a professional athlete, a fighter to Gartner. How did you hack into Gartner? How was the hiring process? Like, did they
Yeah.
find you? You found them. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So um, I like to say what I was doing and I didn't know I was doing it was I was attracting people to me based off of who I was as a person. So so what I would do is I would always place these inspirational posts on LinkedIn. I've been doing it for way over a decade now. And so
Oh,
one
wow.
day I made a post and the post went viral. And it
Huh.
was just me talking about my journey of mixed martial arts, uh, schooling, and also working and trying to land a job. I mean, all I was trying to do is land a job to be able to take care of my family. And so felt like I had all the core competencies, but I was just looking for
Mm,
someone just to give me a chance. And I would see, kids graduating from college and getting these roles, and it would just be me. Like, well, I got 10 years as a military veteran. I've done OJT. I had certifications in project management. I had two graduate degrees, and I couldn't even get a job. So I
mm,
went down this really kind of deep rabbit hole of like self discovery. And I started to unpack and say, who is Robert at the core? Like, what am I good at? And through this self discovery, I found out that I was really good at making relationships, building relationships, and leveraging LinkedIn to inspire and motivate people. So I went on this rampage of just posting, and I had one goal in mind. I wanted to uplift those who were down. And I put out some content. It went viral. I had multiple different organizations reach out to me, and I landed on Gardner. Gardner had a military program. It was called the Military Discovery Program, where they were taking military members that didn't have tech skills backgrounds, and it was upskilling them and training them. Probably the best decision I ever made in my life, and it was probably the hardest decision. For me, it was like speaking a different language. But I knew I just
mm,
had to stay there, be patient, and with faith, resiliency, grit, determination. And I knew what I was doing. It was doing it for a reason bigger than myself. It was doing it for the picture behind me. So I just kept going. I pushed through, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard. But I knew at the end of this hard journey, that was going to be, the rainbow at the end. So I pushed through my first full year as a tech sales. I ended up being a top performer and end up getting what we call winner circles at Gardner. But that was kind of my journey. One of the reasons I was hired at Gardner's, the hiring
wow.
manager at the time said, Robert, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't have sales experience, but what you do have is the mindset. Look, if you can go out
Yeah.
there and speak in front of thousands of people and inspire and uplift those who don't want to be inspired, I can teach you how to sell. And he took a chance on me. He took a bet on me, and guess what? That bet paid off dividends
Awesome.
for him and the organization. So
Wow. Wow. I love it. You gave so many strategies, and I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper here because if you might be just listening and getting distracted with this amazing story, but there's some nuggets here. First, you guys heard the word LinkedIn, and I talk about LinkedIn all the
right.
time, and I'm actually on LinkedIn right now. You probably listen to this in LinkedIn, whatever. He leveraged a tool that is available for everyone. It's free, and not many people are using it to land their jobs. And he was not even looking for a job. He
Mhm.
was just posting about. his life. He wasn't the content creator that people are trying to be. He was just like sharing his journey. That's it. If you have questions about what to post, just post your journey, the things you're learning, self deep reflection that he was going through. He was just posting that took him places, right? So right there, very hacking strategy right there. I tell people it's a shortcut to get there to their next big opportunity is just posting LinkedIn. What
I
do you
love
think
it.
about that, Robert?
I love it.
Would you right? That's what happened to you. And then um, people, he was hired because of his mindset, not because of his, which is the biggest skill that a tech seller should have is having the right mindset because the tools, the technology, the techniques, the things can be learned and it can be improved. Mindset's hard to teach. How did you? I
Yeah,
mean, I don't even have to ask the how, but he came from the military. He was a professional athlete. Those two things, like you can get your mindset right for anything else in life.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Like, when we think about hiring, upskilling, recruiting, because of the amount of change that we have to deal with on a daily basis is just enormous. So hiring a person that has the aptitude to be agile, to be flexible, to be able to mold as the organization needs to be able to, learn new skills is so important. And having that resilient mindset to be able to weather the storm and stay calm when things are good and bad, right? That's a core competency that each individual have to build up for themselves. So like that can't be taught. That has to be something that's intrinsic within you and you have to want it. So like I'm big on hiring based off of that versus, you know, hiring based off of someone who might has the skill sets but won't do
Hmm.
a little bit extra because the little extra is what gets us uh, keeps the ball rolling. What keeps us, relevant, top of mind. It keeps the business going. It keeps us driving revenue for the company. That one more call, that one more email, that one more reach out, that one more connection. And I'm willing to outwork many people, and you can't teach that. Like you just can't teach that. So I agree with you 100% that I'm big on mindset. Um, And I think through mindset, you can build the skill sets to win.
Yeah, and I have had a couple of coaching sessions with Robert during my time at Microsoft, and he would put his coaching hat, and then the mindset was there, was solid, and I could feel it, and that helped me through
Mhm.
some of the challenges that I was having personally. So 100% cannot teach that once you hired. You can, I mean, you can learn more, but then that if you think about what should I have to be a tech seller, that's it right there. Mindset needs to be in the right place, and he don't even mention about it. You can see that beautiful picture there on the back of his family and kids. You have 5 kids, right, Robert? 5 boys.
Six kids. Yeah.
6. Oh my gosh, I missed one. I counted quick. 6, and his
Yeah.
wife. He has a family. Just to build a family like
He's not
that,
up there.
right? To build a family like that, the mindset it's not for everyone. So think of Robert. His superpowers here. He's a dad. He has a family, military, athlete. Those triangulation, the mindset is like foundational. Some people like to talk of that soft skill. Soft skill. This is the hardest skill you can you can develop. Um, Now let's get a little bit more technical here. Tell a little bit more about the actual hiring process with Gartner. Like, did you have to interview a bunch? Like, did you have to uh, were you part of some sort of program, or like did they had to how that worked when it comes to the logistics of the application?
Say it one more time. You're breaking up just a little bit, Davison.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about the logistics of the actual application at Gartner. I think it's
So
breaking up
yeah,
a little bit,
so
right? Still.
Gartner was a great organization. Yeah, you're coming in now. I think Garner's definitely a great organization. It was great for me because I needed that kind of entry level training to really understand how to sell from an outcome perspective, how to understand and ask the right questions, how to
Mm.
unpack what we call the pain. So there's usually a problem, but in that problem, you ask second and third level coverage to get to the pain. I like I honestly believe the training that I received at Gardner at the time was worth $1 million to me because it put me in a position to be able to have a conversation with a C-level executive, and I can go in the conversation with a very open mind and be curious and be myself, and because it's all about them asking the right questions. But the hiring process in itself was,
Yes.
typically hiring, typically some type of role play, and
Okay.
answering interview questions, behavior, and then some collaboration type of questions, how you collaborate with others. But if anybody's looking to land a job in tech sales, I do believe number one is you have to have an understanding of how to sell all up, right? So whether that is, you know, the challenger sales methodology. There's a lot of different sales
Okay.
methodologies out there that you can go out and learn. But typically companies will, try to upskill you, especially if you take a SDR or BDR role. But I think you have to have some type of knowledge of you have to be pre-exposed to some type of fundamental training so you can have the basics kind of built out prior to interviewing. And
Okay. That's good.
so the interview process at Garner kind of gave me that the process of training at Garner kind of gave me that basic fundamental knowledge that I needed to go out and sell, whether that's prospecting, whether that's running discovery or qualification calls, whether that's building and nourishing relationships. So all of that skill sets was built at Gardner, and then I was able to take those skill sets and use them as I in my career. So a lot of that fundamental knowledge that was beaten into my head, I still use it to this day because it's
Nice.
the basics of selling. And I think sometimes as sellers, we forget we kind of go away from the basics, but the basics win. Like at the end of the day, it's when we undercomplicate it and simplify the sales process is when it becomes more impactful, not only for myself, but also for the customer.
That's awesome. So, mastermind here, insights and foundation, how to be a good seller, and the Gartner being a great organization. Um, taught Robert the foundationals, right? So he was blessed enough to start in a big organization like Gartner, and then he was able to hack into Microsoft, which we're going to talk about right now, which is now the number one, you know, basically technology in the world, technology organization for tech, especially for tech sales. Um,
Mhm.
and let's talk about that. How did you go? Because one thing, getting to Gartner, it's already amazing. Now we're talking about high performing, like top tech sales organization here, Microsoft. How did you get your job at Microsoft? Was that a recommendation? Did someone? Did you just apply online? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the process to Microsoft is I was a part of some military group, so I knew that it was not going to be easy. So in my mind, so I'm thinking to myself, like, what's my ace of spade? When I say ace of spade, what's my differentiator? What can I do? Can I bring to the table to help me stand out? And so one of those
Mm,
things was me being a military veteran, also me being, a professional athlete, just to be honest, and some of the degrees I had, along with my past sales experience. So I cleaned up my LinkedIn really nice. Number one, I want to make sure that when I applied for a role, knowing that
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft owned LinkedIn, that they was going to look at my profile. So I want to be who they wanted to see once they got on
Nice.
my profile. So I set my profile up really nice, and it wasn't like putting fictitious stuff up there. It was really who I was, so they can see that who everything who I was shine, like the motivational speaking, the professional
Mm.
athlete, my mindset, the way I think, the way I look and view at my business. So I cleaned up my profile, and then I started to apply. I applied for one role, and to be honest, I was not qualified for the role. But there was the only role at the time that I met some of the minimum qualifications. I said, I'm going to throw
Uh-huh.
my hand in the hat and see what happens. So I threw my hand in the hat and I got an interview. And
Nice.
I did a lot of pre work to make sure that I built up my skill sets technically for the role, but I didn't have the real life experience for that role that they was looking for. And they was honest, like,
Mm.
Robert, you're a great fit for the company, but unfortunately, this role, we're looking for somebody that's a little bit more technical. So I always tell
Mm.
people, when you're interviewing, don't just interview for the role. Make sure that you interview for the company. So what
Love that.
happened was they put me in a not good for the role, but he's hired. He's a great fit. And the hiring
Love
manager
that.
said, hey, I'll come back around. Let's stay connected because I think you'll be a great asset to Microsoft. And 2 months later, he came back around. He said, Robert, I think you should apply for this role. I applied for the role. I got the interview, and I killed the interview, and I got hired here at Microsoft. But there, like, I think the biggest thing, like, every job opportunity, especially for a company like Microsoft, you might only get one shot. So prepare for that one shot like it's your last shot. And if you do it the right way, you're going to leave your mark. And when I say leave your mark, you're going to leave an indication that you was there. Leave an impression on that person. And by really preparing yourself for the company, not just the job, right? And so that's what I did. And I was able to stay within their bench of talent, and they came back around. So don't get frustrated or don't be down as much as possible. I know it's hard, but just try to stay as positive as possible. If you did everything you can and you gave your best effort in that interview, it will work out. But you have to have faith and confidence. But more importantly, you got to show up to that interview. You got to show up with your best. It's like a fight, right? I'm going into the fight. This is the biggest fight of my life. I'm putting my best gloves on. I'm going to be prepared for that fight because I know that even if I don't win the fight, I want to leave the fans in awe. And the fans are going to want
Yeah.
me again. And that's the same way with the interview process, right? The hiring
Love
manager is
it.
going to want you back. The company's going to want you back, but you got to leave your mark. And I felt like I left my mark on that set of people, and they reached back
Uh-huh. Wow. I love it. It was the same thing happened to me. So,
out.
like, seriously, like I
Yeah,
interview like for three roles, and they're like, Dayvisson, you great for Microsoft, but this role is just not right yet. So Microsoft is really good at finding that role that it's better for
exactly.
you.
Exactly.
And interview, that's another great hacking tip here. A lot of times, you want that perfect role and that perfect interview. Sometimes you just need to get into the interview process so people can get to know you. And once they vet you, like, hey, this is good, they're good Microsoft material, right? Good for Microsoft, and then it's just a matter of finding alignment. And that's what
Exactly.
happened to Robert. The same happened to me, and I'm pretty sure happened to a lot of people,
Yeah,
especially in those big organizations, right?
exactly. Exactly.
I love it. And thanks for sharing that analogy of the fight preparation for the fight, because once you are in front of a Microsoft team, a recruiting team, you have to be ready for the fight, and you have to give your best and leave everything on the table, right?
Yep.
And play it and fight until the last second, because you want to leave an impression. You want to make an impression, no matter what happened. If you got a I got denied. I didn't get an offer from the same hiring manager that hired me on the second time, and they told me, Dave, I reapplied again, and the recruiter was like, Dave, so I'm so glad you reapplied. I'm so happy because a lot of people give up, and because it's so hard, the process is so hard, and a lot of people give up. And he just reapplied. It wasn't the right time. But here's another opportunity. And then I told them, hey, I have another offer. And then they moved me really quick. 1 week, I got, I went through the same hiring manager who denied me, hired me, and she saw my potential on the first time, and that happened. So thanks
That's
for sharing
amazing.
that. I think it will give people inspiration to be resilient during the interview process and
Yeah,
not giving up, right?
exactly.
Wow. Oh, we have this is like almost 25 minutes. We got like maybe no more than 30. So I don't want to take a lot of your time here, Robert. Um, how about we do this? Let's see. People who are wondering, like, should I do tech sales or not? Sounds like I'm not in the military. I'm not, I'm a professional athlete. I don't have that grit, the mindset that Robert have. What they should have outside of that mindset, is that anything that is transferable, that it's super needed in tech sales, and it might give hope to more people and all that.
Yeah, I think a couple like soft skills outside of the ability to learn the technology is being able to, project management skills, resource
Mm,
management skills, orchestration skills, organizational skills, relation building skills, being able to not only build and start net new relationships, but nourish
mm,
relationships. And so the nourishing relationships is something that I feel like it's really what separates good sellers from great sellers. So when I say nourishing a relationship, it's like building a relationship to the point where you all are become bonded almost to the organization that you're supporting, or even your individual customer, CIO, or CEO. And so I look at a bond different than a relationship or partnership. A relationship is a relationship, right? A partnership is typically a legal binding agreement between two people. But when you think about two people that are bonded, or you bonded to their organization, you start to uh, almost position yourself as an extension of their team. Almost like I'm an
mhm.
extension of your team. I'm a part of your organization. And when you're bonded together as trials and tribulations come, you bend, you flex, but you never break. So nourishing a relationship puts you in a position to build that bond with your customers and clients. And you're like that little gnat that just won't go away, but you're bringing value at the same time. So I think that's a huge component to being successful, is because organizations are moving away from transactional deals with some of these big partners. They want true strategic advisors, and they want good bonded partnerships. And to do that, you got to really understand, know their business, but also care, right? Not only care about what's important to you, but what's important to the customer. And that's building that bond, building those relationships with customers. I can get you to the point where you're starting to position yourself, like I said, as an extension of their team, as a part of their organization. And they trust you when you come and you make those recommendations about buying products or services from the company. I think
Love
that's
that.
extremely important.
Yeah, and so if you have that ability, you're gonna do just fine. Build relationships, have the desire to make those partnerships. It's crucial for tech sales, especially in the enterprise level. The type of sale that Robert is dealing right now, when he needs to go on the C level executives and build those reports, it's crucial. Thanks so much for sharing that. Which you can see that Robert is in another level, right, of selling here. He's not only he's a natural, right? So he's talking about his own experience, and he's also trying to help you to be a good seller. So that's what he does. He's a natural coach, and so even if you're like an athlete, like a professional athlete, for example, and you're a coach, you'd be a great tech. You could be a great tech seller, right? Would
Hmm.
you say that, Robert? If you're like retiring from the maybe the NFL, if you want to become a tech seller, you would be able to. have that teamwork mentality.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
I
definitely.
think it'd
Yeah,
be, I think it'd be
like I
good.
said, I don't. The transition is as hard as we make it. Like
Mm,
it has to be. You have to be intentional. You kind of got to know what you want. And when you know what you want, there's going to be distractions. There's going to be times where you don't feel certain, but you just got to stay in the game, stay in the race, and eventually everything will kind of map out, it will work out if you know what you want. So that's the outcome driven. That's how we sell. Same thing, knowing what a customer wants and being able to line our technology to help them meet those outcomes. So you got to have that same outcome driven mindset as you look to go in or to, you know, join a organization and become a tech seller. You got to have that outcome driven mindset with intentionality of like knowing what you want. And I always like to say this, you know, one of my colleagues told me this a long time ago. Like he was talking
mhm.
to a customer. He said, you can't throw spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks, right? So that's the intentionality. That's the very targeted, specific, intentional about every move you make. When it comes to your LinkedIn needs to be intentional. Your thought process needs to be intentional. The people you connect with needs to be intentional, right? And then you'll start to create this advisory board of folks around you that's going to help you and advocate for you to get into tech sales. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. So I hear, okay, we're gonna close now, but I heard know your strengths. That's how you kind of started. Like know yourself, the deep discovery you had to do, and then make that visible to others. I use LinkedIn, and then be an influence, and then you got opportunities that you could get started with Gartner. You build a foundation, and then you got into Microsoft. With a military program, but being able to sell yourself. So if you're listening to this at the end, please go back to the beginning. There was an amazing story here, Robert. I know we had some hiccups here with the internet a little bit here and there, but it should be like the content was amazing. I'm super grateful that you made the time. I know we tried to coordinate this for a while, and I know you're super busy, and I totally respect. Final words here, Robert. How can people find you? Any insights about the future of selling or whatever? Like, how can
Yeah.
we close?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. Like I try to respond back as much as possible, but just like everyone else, I'm extremely busy. As you all can see, I have a lot of kids, but like reach out to me on LinkedIn. I try to make inspirational posts just to help people, and like there's no goal. I feel like that's my way of giving back to the world. I was blessed to be able to find my way, and now my job is to help other people find their way. So I make posts all the time. Please follow me on LinkedIn, and if I can respond back, I'll try to respond back. But hey, this was great, Davidson. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. We got to do this again, and I appreciate everything you're doing for the community, also.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good weekend, and I hope you continue to do great things to give back. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tech Sales Funnels podcast, where we crack the code and uncover the strategies to break into tech sales. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to hack their way into this exciting career. Remember, hacking into tech sales isn't just a goal, it's a mission. Let's keep hacking, learning, and winning together. Catch you next time.